How do you do, folks, and welcome back to Chamber in History, where we're diving into the story of every single bullet cartridge ever made throughout history, one round at a time. In our last episode, we cracked open the anatomy of the Centerfire cartridge and kind of saw what makes it tick. We went over every part of it and how each part works with the other to make it a cohesive system. But now it's time to rewind the clock way back, before smokeless powder, before rimfires, and before brass became king of the cartridges. Because today we meet the man who lit the first real fuse in modern ammo, Clement Pottet. In the early 1800s, loading a gun was more ritual than science. You had a ball, powder, sometimes a paper patch, and a percussion cap, and you had to take all of it and shove it down the muzzle with a ramrod and hope like hell that it fires when you get done and that the powder was even dry to begin with. You practically needed a degree and 3 hands just to fire off a single shot. But before we meet Clement Pottet, we have to tip our hat to a lesser known name in the ammunition history. A man named Samuel Pauli, a Swiss inventor working in Paris. Around 1812, Pauli developed one of the first self-contained cartridges, a brass and paper tube with powder, ball, and a built-in primer at the rear. His system even included a breech-loading shotgun to fire it with. However, it was bulky, unreliable, and the world just wasn't ready for it. But it was a huge leap forward for modern ammunition. Pauli's design laid the groundwork. Pottet took it, simplified it, and made it more practical. If Pauli imagined the future, then Pottet made it manufacturable. Enter Clement Pottet, a French inventor who saw the way firearms were being loaded and fired and said, let's make that simpler, let's make it safer. So in 1829, he patented a revolutionary idea, a self-contained copper case with a primer seated dead center at the base. Again, like that. I was told I need to hold it there longer because last time I was just flashing it. So, sorry about that. Instead of relying on an external ignition cap, this new system put the ignition cap right inside the case itself. That design, what we now call a centerfire, changed everything. It kept powder dry, made reloading simpler, and basically laid the foundation for every bullet cartridge we know of today. But while this concept was brilliant, the world quite literally wasn't ready for it. The technology to mass produce thin, precise metal cartridges wasn't quite there yet. Most guns were still built for muzzle loading, and firearms manufacturers weren't quite ready to retool everything for an idea that they saw as futuristic at best. Pottet's invention was like a flying car in the horse-drawn carriage era. It sounded great in theory, but it just didn't quite work on paper. At least not yet. Flash forward to 1855, Pottet updates his patent with a 3-part construction. A metallic body made of copper or brass, a primer seated, again, dead center at the base, and a reinforced cup around the base holding it all together. This new design was tougher, more reliable, and most importantly, reloadable. The base cup kept the primer seated and sealed, and you could pop it out, reload it with another one, and go at it again. For the time, it was basically like ammo with a warranty. Now, by the late 1850s, Pottet's design weren't just ideas on paper, they were products on shelves. His shells were stamped Pottet Brevet? I don't know, I'm not French. Followed by SGDG. That's French for patented without government guarantee. Basically the French version of buyer beware. Because again, at the time, not a lot of people knew about it and weren't educated on the matter. So, I mean, you didn't want to sell somebody something that you didn't even know how it worked. So, you know, that's why they kind of had that. Hunters especially loved this design. It was reliable, easy to reload, and way safer than the old black powder and a paper roll setup. You started seeing paper tube shot shells with a metallic base and a Pottet style primer all over French and beyond. Now, as demand grew, Pottet teamed up with Gavelot, a leading ammunition manufacturer. Gavelot scaled production, making cartridges with Pottet's design available to civilians and militaries alike. Because this wasn't just a backyard experiment anymore, this was the dawn of mass-produced centerfire ammunition. And you're going to hear that name again. Gavelot became part of SFM, Société Française de Munitions, I guess. I thought that was pretty good. A giant in European ammo production. Now, Pottet's design didn't just revolutionize shotgun shells, it became the blueprint for nearly every brass case centerfire round that followed. 30-06, 45 Colt, 9mm Parabellum, 5.56 NATO. You can take every single one of them and trace it all the way back to Pottet's design in 1855. He solved the ignition issue, he solved the reloading problem, and he solved a pressure challenge all in one elegant little package. But Pottet wasn't just a guy with a patent. He was the architect of modern firepower as we know it. And we all have him to thank. So that's cartridge number 1 on our journey, Clement Pottet's Centerfire shell. Next time we're heading across the channel to Britain, where the old 577 muzzleloaders got their Centerfire makeovers. That's right, we're talking about the mighty 577 Snyder and how it changed the battlefield forever. Until then, keep your powder dry and your heads down, and we'll catch y'all next time. Also, I wanted to include this at some point. Don't know where I'm going to put it again. But first video got 36 views now. That's awesome. I got 2 subscribers, which is also awesome. And I also got a comment, which is, again, also very awesome. I'm very thankful for the people that watched it. Although, for what I could tell, a lot of people clicked off pretty quickly. So I'm hoping this one's a little more interesting at the beginning. So I'm doing my best. Also, the guy that commented, I don't know if he's going to watch this one or not, but he said it was very informative, and that is exactly what I was going for. So I am very appreciative that he told me that, because it makes me feel good. I'm really happy about this, and it's very exciting to see that people are watching it. Also, you may have noticed I figured out how to put pictures in the videos. I did not know how to do that on the last one, or text or anything. I didn't even know how to do a thumbnail until after I posted the first video, because at first it was just me doing this in here. And then it's still me doing that, but I put like a background and text and everything. So I figured out how to make one. It may not be the best, but I did figure it out. But again, I really appreciate everyone who watched it and liked it and subscribed. And I hope to bring value to more people and maybe, become a part of someone's day where they're going to watch they're excited to see the new episode of Chamber in History. So please like, comment, and subscribe, and I appreciate y'all, and I will see y'all next time.